Today, I'd like to talk to you about universal basic savings. Now, many of you may have heard of universal basic income, but very few, if any, people know and talk about universal basic savings. So let's explore this concept. So a big, hairy, audacious goal for universal basic savings could be that every Indian saves at least rupees 100 per month. And every Indian has those savings 60% in equity, so that every Indian actually becomes a Desh Ki Tarakki Mein Hissedar, which means a participant in the prosperity of the nation. So who is this video for? As usual, this is for media, influencers on social media, people like you and me on WhatsApp, and it's for the Pension Fund Regulatory Development Authority of India and the Department of Financial Services in the Ministry of Finance and the Prime Minister's office. So now, anytime a person works, and this applies to anyone who works and someone pays him, it doesn't matter if the person employs 20 people or employs only one person. It could be a domestic help, it could be a daily worker. They have to pay 8% into this universal basic savings account. And every single individual in the country has to have a universal basic savings account that is linked to their bank account. Now, so the universal means cradle to grave. So every baby would have a universal basic savings account, and this account would remain till you went to your grave. And at that point in time, it will pass to your nominees or contingent nominees, so that this would be like passing on the family jewels from generation to generation. No withdrawals at all would be permitted from these accounts for whatever reason, except 5% per year after 60, for which if you withdraw, you don't really have to give a reason. You could, if you want, withdraw 5% after the age of 60 till you die or till the account gets exhausted. Now, who pays for those who do not earn 1,200 rupees a month? Right. So because 8% of 1,200 would be 100 rupees per month, which is the minimum savings we want to have. So one is there could be some self-employed people who would just pay it directly. There may be parents of babies who pay into the baby's account, and so on. So one is that the self would pay or the government would pay. But every single person in India would get 100 rupees a month into their savings account. So those whose universal basic savings money is paid by the government will be ineligible to get loans. So that would be one sort of deterrent, that if you want to get loans or you want to get cheap credit, which is going to be a topic which I'll cover later in one of my talks, then you would have an incentive not to get the government to pay your UBS, but for you to pay it yourself. Now, where does the money for this UBS come from? So if it's an employer paying it, it comes from the employer. But if it doesn't come from the employer, so the money that the government pays, so where does that come from? So one of the suggestions I have is that social responsibility is added to corporate social responsibility. Now, all the corporate social responsibility, instead of being spread all over the place, is used to fund the government contribution towards this universal basic savings. And there is a 1% annual social responsibility on individuals with above 1 crore of global wealth. And this would be on the excess over 1 crore. So those individuals who are wealthy would give 1% of their wealth over 1 crore every year towards paying for these universal basic savings. Now, the shortfall, if any, would be funded by the government. And if there's a surplus, then it would be used for welfare for people who are physically or mentally challenged and cannot earn. Now, another thing that the government would do is that it would give a 20-year guarantee of 7% CAGR. So the government would guarantee a 7% return. And if that 7% return was not met, the government would top up these universal basic savings accounts for the shortfall in return. The National Pension Scheme, which is run by the PFRDA, and I'm proposing that these universal basic accounts also run by them, they will get 1,000 crores plus a day. And 40% of these would be in Government of India bonds, which are for universal basic savings, and 60% in an equity index fund. So if bond rates decline, maybe equity CAGRs could be higher, and this 20% guarantee that the government is getting will actually become clear. The universal basic savings BHAG, which is what we started off with earlier, is that every Indian saves at least ₹100 per month, and every Indian is a desh ki tarakki mein hissa. So the next steps, the NPS should roll out this UBS in say 90 days with a shock and awe design, and they can get suggestions if they need. So hopefully this will reach the PFRDA and they will think about it and not get into endless committees and task forces and so on and so forth, but actually start trying to do this and get UBS and make it a reality. Thank you.